Kendrick Lamar drops a new album, doesn't even bother to drop Andrew Schultz's name, and yet he's out here shedding those white masculine tears. So brave of him. He claims to be too wild, too truthful for Netflix, so he has to throw up his special on YouTube despite getting the Joe Rogan bump. But let's look over where this all started, where it came from. So the lyrics are pretty direct here. He states, make Cat Williams and them proud. The truth about to get loud. No juice inside of my cup. I sober up and knock 'em all off. Don't let no white comedian talk about no black woman. That's law. And then he gives a little bit out for the people around. I know propaganda work for them, and fuck whoever that's close to them. That being groom, slide on them both. That second little portion there does require a tiny bit of analysis. It's not that deep, folks. He said it. He doesn't want the double entendres. Not in this album. He wants y'all to feel this shit. He names Cat Williams because he is a legend, paved his own way. I'm a little bit disappointed with Cat that he sat down with Joe Rogan and didn't tell him in his face, we are in different leagues. You have never been known for your comedy. You're the Fear Factor guy. You're the UFC guy. You're the podcaster. You have never once been known for your comedy. The closest thing Joe Rogan got was a sitcom and The Man Show. And Doug Stanhope carried The Man Show. But here he basically calls out Shultz without saying his name because he was not worth naming. Shultz knew exactly that he was being called out. Here, let's see the white tears. Let's hear it. Let's hear it out. None other than academic here, of course.
He was talking to Andrew Schultz. By the way, I hit Andrew Schultz about that. I think his reaction was, he's like, yo, is this guy too woke to understand a joke?
So please, we can all not admit that being called woke is just a dog whistle. But you guys won. You won the culture war. Can we please go back to you being honest and truthful with yourself and how you feel about the rest of us, and use racial slurs? Just bring them all out. Be brave. Be the truth tellers that you are. Hey, forget censorship. You're a free speech absolutist. Say it with your chest. Just come out and say it. Because woke has been nothing more than a dog whistle. That's what it has turned to the moment that white people started appropriating it. So he says, oh, is this guy too woke to take a joke? He's just too woke to understand comedy, man. In the very same song that he calls out Shultz, in the second verse, which is a few lines down, here we go. Whatever though, right here in the top, call me crazy, everybody questionable. Turn me into I drew the line in the decimals. Eskimo. That is a racial slur against Inuits, indigenous people. Kendrick Lamar is not too woke. Otherwise, why would he reference Cat Williams? Cat Williams is not some PC comedian. Cat Williams has never been this family-friendly comedian. He's always been Cat Williams. Kendrick Lamar has never been too woke. But if we understand to mean woke as a racial slur, as a replacement, as a dog whistle, then what Andrew Schultz is saying is, oh, Kendrick Lamar is too much on his black shit to laugh at black women. Let's go over the video that blew up. And you know what? He says it. The people around Andrew Schultz that allow him to get away with this, oh, it's just comedy. Oh, it's just a joke. And yet every time you're disparaging black women. Every time you're disparaging black women. All right, let's go over it.
What is the black girlfriend effect? This is
Oh, you man don't know
You
about
just
this?
glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend. All of a sudden, he's got buzz cut, like clean shape up.
So these guys got a lot of heat. And we'll see shortly why. But notice that at first, it is like a positive thing that they're saying. When these non-black men get a black girlfriend, they got to step their game up. He's going to be a little bit more explicit here. Y'all try not to miss it. But let's hear it out.
Yeah, I like that.
They shave their hair because they start losing it.
And Andrew Schultz immediately turns it into a negative. You know, the haha funny joke, right? But of course, he carries it through and paints black women as abusive, as violent, because to him, black women are just these barbaric savages. Let's be honest about it. And we'll see how his mentor, the man that put him on to the mainstream, feels the exact same way.
So stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends, they
They grow
step,
a beard
they step
because
their dick
there's
up.
more.
This guy here literally says, white guys with black girlfriends step their dick up. It's a weird thing to say in general, but again, in their distorted, minds of what is masculine, they're trying to frame this as a positive. Where they slip up, where they fuck up, is the fact that they start just laughing along. Schultz just adamant need to tear down black women.
Cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of. That's hilarious. I think
The cosign of that's hilarious. And you see, one thing that I frown upon is slapstick. But if you're gonna do it, go for it. The fact that he needs to like just be over the top to hit that punchline shows how pathetic and desperate he is for a laugh.
I think the black girlfriend effect.
Again, the black girlfriend effect starts off seemingly to be seen as a positive, and immediately he has to turn that on its head.
Might be a protective instinct, bro.
You think?
Yeah. Do you guys have you ever had black girlfriends?
Yeah.
Have you ever had white girls?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. What's your favorite?
Oh wow. That what? You date outside of your race? Oh wow. And of course, immediately gotta compare black women to what Andrew Schultz views as the pinnacle of womanhood, of femininity, white woman.
We love them all.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Of course, the cowardness. All right.
We love them all.
Yeah.
That means white.
The person that says that means white, I believe that's his Indian co-host. Always ask when you hear this like weird white nationalism, this anti-blackness and even anti-brown sentiment coming from Indian people, that trips you up a little bit because like, yo, you're brown as fuck. Like, what are you doing? Remind yourself to ask them, what caste does your family belong to? That'll tell you everything. And that'll tell you why they're anti-black, why they're anti-brown.
Translation.
Kendrick fans, get him!
We love them all.
That's royal English.
So you heard it right there.
We love them all.
That's royal English.
Where is it?
Kendrick fans, get him!
The man called out the boogeyman by name. He calls out Kendrick Lamar by name. His fans being aware that they're not going to just sit by and allow this known anti-black misogynist to go out of his way to disparage black women, to immediately try and compare them to white women, to immediately trying to vilify them as violent, as abusive. Where did this come from? Where does this come from? Because it was Charlemagne the God that put on Andrew Shultz, who put him on the map. And that's how he uses this cover of like, oh, no, I'm in with the black community. But it was Joe Rogan who put him on to the mainstream. That's who Andrew Schultz looks up to. He uses Charlemagne the God as a cover, as a shield, to be anti-black. And look up Charlemagne the God. He's got some weird cases on him. Some weird cases on him. There's a reason why mainstream media keeps him around. But let's look at his daddy. Let's look at Andrew Schultz's daddy and see why we have to be honest with these so-called truth-speaking comedians. These people that don't hesitate to dog whistle. And ask yourself, why is it that Andrew Schultz will go out of his way to tear down black women, to stigmatize them? And when he's in front of a former president, of a presidential candidate in Donald Trump, doesn't have the courage to speak truth to power and crack one Epstein joke. Not one Epstein joke, nothing about the island, nothing about the multiple Diddy parties, because Trump has many photos with P. Diddy. But he's so brave and he's so honest when it comes to talking shit about black women. But why didn't he have that courage, that bravery, that honesty in front of Donald Trump? Same thing with Joe Rogan. Not once did he mention Epstein in connection to Donald Trump. The flight logs are all there. And this isn't about necessarily Republican, Democrat. That's old news. No. This is about these white men that claim to be oppressed, silenced, censored. And yet when they have one of the most powerful individuals in front of them, they forget that they're comedians and they're no longer embracing the energy, the spirit of Lenny Bruce. And all of a sudden, they're quiet as a mouse and they're polite. So let's look at the man that put on Andrew Schultz onto the mainstream and see how this anti-blackness is almost inherent in these so-called true speakers.
We can't go to there. So I go, you got to go to one where there's Planet of the Apes, man. We're going to go see Planet of the Apes. So I look on the iPhone app, and it says, okay, take me to this one. And the guy goes, okay. I go, is that in a good neighborhood? He's like, oh, yeah. Guy barely speaks English. He takes us there. We get out, and we're giggling. Oh, we're going to go see Planet of the Apes. We walk into Planet of the Apes. We walked into Africa.
We walked into the Planet of the Apes. We walked into Africa, and immediately Red Band starts cracking up. Now, Joey Diaz, for all his faults, smart enough to understand that this is out of line, that this is straight up just racism.
Dude, we walked in the door, and there was no white people. There was no white people. And I was trying to make the story entertaining.
And here's the excuse, a pathetic apology, because these people cannot own up to the fact that they are white supremacists.
And I said, we got out, and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes. I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes. we can't go to there. So I go, you got to go to one where there's Planet of the Apes, man. We're going to go see Planet of the Apes. So I look on the iPhone app, and it says, okay, take me to this one. And the guy goes, okay. I go, is that in a good neighborhood? He's like, oh, yeah. Guy barely speaks English. He takes us there. We get out, and we're giggling. Oh, we're going to go see Planet of the Apes. We walk into Planet of the Apes. We walked into Africa, dude. We walked in the door, and there was no white people.
And of course, Red Band tries to like tag the joke by adding some like weird ass, I'm assuming backward sounds.
There was no white people. I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes, but it sure fucking sounded like
It sure sounded like it because that's exactly what you did. Otherwise, why would you say there was no white people around?
that. And I immediately afterwards said, that's a racist thing to say. Planet of the Apes wasn't even in Africa. I was just saying, and there's a lot of black people there.
Yeah, you were just saying there's a lot of black people there because they reminded you of apes. You were literally comparing the apes to the African people in front of you. And notice in the beginning how he even said, is it safe? So it's layered for these people. And when they get called out on it, the dog whistling in order to rile up their horde. This is the man that put on Andrew Shultz to the mainstream. Charlemagne, the god, has a bunch of skeletons in his closet and has been serving as a shield for Andrew Schultz, from criticism from the black community. But this is not going to stop. And we're very fortunate that Kendrick Lamar took a moment to call it out. Now, Andrew Schultz wants to cry about it, but let's be very, very fucking honest. We saw the video. When he went out of his way to disparage black women, Andrew Schultz called out Kendrick Lamar by name because he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing wasn't just a joke. He knew it was going to upset people that are aware, that can see through the bullshit and know that he is an anti-black racist misogynist. Can y'all just go back to being honest about it? Can you please go back to being honest about it? We're sick and tired of having to pull back the layers, bring back the racial slurs, say it with your chest, there's no need for a hood anymore. But stop playing this game of the dog whistles. Kendrick Lamar's too woke. While he's literally using an indigenous slur in the same song. It doesn't add up because it's just white tears from a grown-ass man. It's pathetic. But go ahead, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know if I'm reaching. Ya estuvo.